Good afternoon, distinguished guest speaker, participant, colleagues, and friends. All welcome to the fourth day of Faculty Development Program. I'm so pleased to see so many colleagues, professors, and friends from many states of India and across the world. Before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who generously helped us to make this event come together to become a success. You have all been chosen to be a part of our association due to a mutual passion for undertaking the knowledge and understanding. Your passions help us all to unite, and the energy we create is what allows us to achieve our individual as well as group goals. We need you as much as you need us. And that's why we are grateful to have you join us here at the Faculty Development Program on Communication Skills, Theory and Practices. I hope these will help you to grow to become more productive and more smart. In the previous sessions of this program, the eminent professors from different universities and institutes have given their valuable lectures on various topics related to communication skills. As you all know that the word communication has a vital connotation. It is defined as the imparting of information, ideas, knowledge, understanding by listening, speaking, reading, and writing. The present FDP is focusing on all quantitative and qualitative aspects of communication. Our today's topic of FDP is everyone gains when women get digital skills and agency. It includes a case study from underserved women SHGs who exercised better control and use of mobile phones during pandemic for health, nutrition and education. In order to boost new energy to our program, today we have with us our key speaker, Mr. Bhai Shelly, a renowned face in the field of communication for development from Unicef, a program of United Nations. It is well-known program that has been serving for 193 countries across the world for every child. In order to give honor to our guest of the day, Mr. Bhai Shelly, I would like to invite Ms. Meher Jahan Bushra to give brief introduction of Bhai Shelly and welcome him.
A very good afternoon to one and all. Am I audible now? Today, we are so honored to have such an eminent personality among us, Honorable Mr. Bhai Shali, who is a communication specialist from UNICEF. We welcome you, sir. Bhai Shali is a communication for development specialist in the UNICEF office of Uttar Pradesh, India. He is an alumni of the Indian Institute of Mass Communication and has a career span of approx 30 years, mostly in the development sector. While serving UNICEF for the last 20 years, he has the privilege to serve the well known polio eradication initiative Garima Dastak in Uttar Pradesh, and most of these initiatives across Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh have been presented in various international fora such as International SBCC Summit. Shelly sir loves cycling, cricket, and traveling and has a calm temperament. He lives in Lucknow with his family, his wife Kamlesh Rathore, who is a writer and journalist, and has a daughter, Arohi Surya, who works in HTC, Dubai. So, what should I say about digital communication in front of the expert in the field? But if I may, then I would just like to inform all the participants that today's topic is based on the indispensable part of society. Yes, you got it right. Women. Everyone gains when women get digital. A woman's presence is like salt in food, which we often disregard, but when it is not there, food is tasteless. We talk about the digital revolution, but we forget that no development is complete without women's involvement. It is found that only 29% of India's internet users are women. So it is high time to acknowledge that technology by itself is not empowering. It must be inclusive, as digital inclusion of women is quite low. She needs to be empowered and educated digitally too to make a better society. Because we all know that you teach a man, you teach an individual. But when you teach a woman, you teach an entire generation. So, keeping this in mind, I would like to invite today's esteemed guest and key speaker, Honorable Bhai Shelly sir, who will enlighten us on the topic Everyone Gains When Women Get Digital Skills and Agency. We welcome you, sir. It's a matter of great honor for us to have you today with us. Over to you, Shelly sir.
Thank you, Madam Busra, and everyone associated with Integral University. When I received the invitation for this webinar, I got very excited because when I see communication being given importance in academia, it gives a lot of assurance that we are creating very good social capital experts who are going to be asset in future. So it's my privilege, honor to be part of this webinar. Um, so in next 45 50 minutes or even less, I'll be presenting few slides covering the experience that we had recently in last 1 year. And just to give you a background, this kind of development communication work is a kind of interface between development and communication. So, taking the example of immunization, if you develop a vaccine, you do one part, which is technology or development. The second part is immunization in real sense and protection of lives. And there comes in communication. So, with every technology, with every innovation, with every advancement, there is a component of demand side or community side, and so we work at the interface of development and communication. And this experience that I'm going to present is more about that. So I'm sharing. I hope this is visible to everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it
So
is
shall I?
visible.
Okay. So I'll begin with a small film that talks about the experience, and then I will get into details of it. So I'm putting up the film first.
हेलो दीदी, नमस्ते।
नमस्ते दीदी, नमस्ते।
मैं वादा सखी उमा बोल रही हूँ, आपके ही गांव से। पहले मीटिंग में जाते थे, महिलाओं को बैठक में बुला करके और उनको समझाती थी।
कोविड जब शुरू हुआ तो ये मीटिंग्स भी बंद हो गई, और जब मीटिंग्स बंद हो गई तो एक तरह से कनेक्शन कट गया। उस चीज़ को ध्यान में रख के फिर हम लोगों ने एक प्रोग्राम छोटा सा कॉन्सेप्चुअलाइज किया, जिसको हेलो दीदी हम लोगों ने नाम दिया।
तो सर हम लोग फोन के द्वारा बताते थे कि दीदी अब हम नहीं आ पा रहे हैं, लॉकडाउन चल रहा है, तो दीदी आपको हम फोन के द्वारा जानकारी देंगे।
ठीक है दीदी, अभी आप कहाँ हैं?
दीदी हम अपने खेतों में हैं, काम कर रहे हैं।
खेतों में तो क्या आप मास्क लगाए हैं?
दिन भर मास्क लगाना पड़ेगा।
बिल्कुल दिन भर मास्क लगाना है। अगर आप बाहर निकल रही हैं तो मास्क लगा कर निकलिए। ज्यादा भीड़ पड़े तो आप 2 कदम की दूरी बना कर रखिए।
अगर बार बार लोगों से इन चीज़ों पे बात ना करें तो प्रैक्टिसेस भी ड्रॉप हो जाते हैं।
फोन द्वारा हम लोग जो बात करते तो एक एक महिला से हम लोग बात कर पाते थे।
और दीदी जैसे आप गर्भवती हैं तो
विटामिन सी से जो चीजें आती हैं, खट्टी चीजें,
ध्यान देना है कि हमें खाना है रोज।
हाँ
आप खाना खाएंगे, आप तंदुरुस्त रहेंगे तो आपका बच्चा भी तंदुरुस्त रहेगा।
जी। जब भी हम धात्री महिला या गर्भवती महिला को फोन करते थे तो उनको बताते थे कि आप अपने खान पान में ध्यान रखिए कि कैसे हमें खाना है और क्या क्या खाना है।
दीदी आपका बच्चा 6 माह से ऊपर हो गया है ना?
दीदी हो गया।
तो ये बताइए आप अपने बच्चे को क्या क्या खिलाती हैं?
दीदी वही है कि जो घर में होता हो, रोटी हो गई, दाल हो गई, चावल हो गए, आलू सब्जी हो गई, जो घर में है दीदी तो वही खिलाते रहते हैं।
बहुत अच्छा बहुत अच्छा। दाल रोटी खिला रहे तो उसमें थोड़ा सा घी लगा लीजिए।
ठीक है दीदी।
आप खाना खिलाती हैं उसके साथ माँ का दूध भी बच्चे को पिलाना है।
और जब भी आप
खाना खिलाइए बच्चे को तो अपने हाथ साबुन से धोइए और बच्चे के भी हाथ साबुन से धुलाइए।
ठीक है दीदी, जैसा आप बता रही वैसा ही करेंगे।
दीदी इस तरह की अगर सावधानियां आप बरतेंगे
तो आपको कोरोना से आपको बचाव होगा।
ये हेलो दीदी प्रोग्राम ने हमारा जो कनेक्शन टूट गया था उस कनेक्शन को फिर से जोड़ने में एक ब्रिज का काम किया।
जैसे हम हालो दीदी नहीं करते सर, हमको जानकारी नहीं देते, तो बहुत सी महिला थी जो कोरोना की शिकार हो जाते, बच्चे भी थे जो बहुत कोरोना की शिकार हो जाते और उनको जानकारी नहीं मिलती कि कैसे खाना है, कैसे स्वस्थ रहना है, कैसे अपने आप को बचाना है। सब चीजें हमें हेलो दीदी के माध्यम से ही हम लोग सब करते थे।
हेलो दीदी नमस्ते।
So, welcome back to the presentation. We just saw the whole experience, and I'll be very happy to expand it in next few slides. This is a bit popular slide in development sector. If you see this graph, the takeaway message is that different indicators of health, for example, under 5 mortality or stunting or IMR or neonatal mortality rate, this all in India is showing positive trends. In last 2 decades, they have been going down. As we can see from 2015, this graph is plotting progress. But there is a question mark. The question mark is, if we look at the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG 2030, then we look at our decline and progress, I think we are far from the desired level. Because if you see the extreme column in the table, if the I mean if we progress like this, if the rate of progress is like this, then the achievement of different indicators, development indicators, will be delayed a lot. For example, we are seeing for neonatal mortality rate, if we continue to progress the way we are progressing, it will take 13 years more than 2030, which is the SDG year. So the takeaway message is that we need to innovate. We need to do different things to achieve results faster. And with that spirit, this whole conceptualization, especially during the COVID pandemic, was done. Use of digital technology. Just to give you a landscape, a sense. So, in terms of mobile use of mobile in health, normally we do four kinds of utilization. One is direct messaging. So that's very obvious. Whenever we do SMS or IVRS, there we are using direct messaging. Then voice counseling or telecounseling, and this particular example is about this. So in this, we have a trained counselor who uses mobile to reach out to the audience, and they follow all the steps of counseling and do telecounseling. So this is the second part of it. The third most popular thing that we do in mobile telephony is job aid applications. So, by job aid applications, we mean that you have a mobile in the hands of audience, and then you transfer very customized reading, learning materials, job ads. so that they can see it at their own convenience and get informed. So that's the third. And fourth one is interactive part of it. So if there is internet capability, so the users interact with experts or people who have information and knowledge. There are many examples in which there are toll-free numbers given, and the audience can dial and connect to people from whom they can receive very specific informations. So these are the four ways mobile telephony is normally used in development sector. There could be many more, but usually these are the four ways they are used. Just to give you a bit of background, in self-help group, because this particular example is from self-help group of UP SRLM, Uttar Pradesh State Rural Livelihood Mission. That's a very ambitious program from Government of India. They call it NRLM in Delhi, National Rural Livelihood Mission. So typically, one SHG group means 10 to 20 women members. They share same kind of socio-economic background. Usually, the last strata of our society. And the main motto of SHG is to empower women by creating a constant source of income. So basically, the origin is from Poverty Elevation School. And we will see in next few slides, there are many additions to this. In SHGs, normally they follow Panch Sutra, they call it, five principles. And these five principles are conducting regular group meetings. So being regular in conducting meetings, then regular savings within the group, internal lending, timely repayment of loan, and maintenance of proper books of accounts. So this is basically the lifeline of a self-help group of women. So, given that context, we wanted to demonstrate a project in which the change agent can become a kind of source of health, nutrition, water sanitation, and other life-saving practices in the community. So, with that perspective, we designed a program called WADA, and WADA is stood for Women Activists for Development Action. And the whole idea was that we will select WADA Sakhi from the existing SHG members. And so she will be kind of representative for spearheading health, nutrition, water sanitation, and other behaviors. The coverage of this project in last 3 years, 18, 19, and 20, has been 6 districts, 12 blocks, 5,100 SHGs were covered. Almost 51,000 families or SHG members were reached. So this was the coverage, and you can see this in the map. This mainly constituted of the northern and eastern part of, and Banda also from the southern part. So except western, we took representative districts from UP. So coming to this specific project of Hello Didi, as you have been part of this pandemic response, everyone actually. So when the pandemic struck last year in Feb March, then the sudden problem that we started facing was the routine communication happening in the community. So the Wada Sakhi, who was following a routine, structured way of organizing community meetings to transfer knowledge and skills to women, they faced a very uncalled for situation in which everything was broken. So due to lockdown, due to social distancing, yeah, their routine informative and educational meetings stopped. So this concept of using mobile phone to continue the business came into picture, and we selected all 6 districts for this initiative. And in next few slides, we'll see how this all happened. So it looks very simple because normally we perceive that everyone in the village is having a mobile phone. Everybody has equitable access to mobile phone, but that's not true in a generic sense. So and this we realized when we rolled out this project. So this project began with collection of mobile phone numbers, because before this pandemic, it never struck to us that we will need this kind of alternate means of communication, because life was so normal. So the first thing that we did was collection of phone numbers from all the SHG families that we were dealing with. Then we redesigned the counseling package, because it was not going to be face to face, it was going to be a digital interface. So we made everything light, we made everything, we tried to make it participatory two-way communication, because that remains a challenge in digital communication. The third part was capacity building, because a normal calling by someone, like I also make call, but using a call for counseling requires certain skills. And so with lot of care, a capacity building model was designed for functionaries, and not only functionaries but also the supportive supervisors who were operating from block and district to support the functionaries. Then it was a question as to how we will ascertain that calls are going and calls are of quality. So discussion is participatory, two-way. How we will make sure? So a mechanism of monitoring system was developed, through which we started getting feedback on the quality of these calls. And then the last question, because this was a kind of innovations during the pandemic, so we wanted this kind of experience to be documented in terms of quantity. And so we designed an assessment of intervention so that we can link the activity to results. And that's what happened, and it helped us in showcasing this initiative at Government of India level. And right now, this initiative is being scaled up in 3 states in India. So I'll go into little bit details because this gives us a lot of sense about the social realities in our society. So a dedicated drive was taken up to collect mobile numbers, and we also were very clear as to what kind of mobile phone is there. So simple, a smartphone, so that we can design our interventions like that. And then we also asked the ownership, who uses the mobile number, who uses the mobile phone. It was very important that we realized later. Then because we had to especially communicate with vulnerable segments, meaning the pregnant women and mothers of 0 to 2 year children, because a lot of nutrition issues are involved there. So we also collected very specifically these numbers. About 20,000 phone numbers were shared with field office for quality check and subsequent survey. So one of the lessons in this step was that women were found to have better access to mobile phone in the family compared to other parts of women population, because we have many studies which show that uh, a mobile phone in the family doesn't mean that women have access, equitable access. It normally is in the hands of man, boys, and women are at the mercy of men and boy for mobile phone. But in the case of SHGs, because of long, um, you know, laborious work of self-help groups, this agency of women has grown up in the family, the space, their utilization of different assets. They are not like any other family. There is certain empowerment factor which we realized, and that was a plus factor also for this project. Because I'll give you one example. In other parts where SHGs are not operating, recently we were collecting data on different behaviors and practices, and we realized that the number that we received in the name of the lady of the house, it was never with them. It was always with men. So whenever the surveyor dialed the number, the man was picking up, and in many cases they didn't allow the lady of the house to speak to surveyor. So these are the challenges which we face less in terms of SHGs. So coming to the soft part of counseling content, there were 5 capsules that were designed: prevention from coronavirus, boosting immunity to defeat COVID, antenatal care during COVID 19, breastfeeding of infants, and complementary feeding of children. So basically, these are the, I mean, there is a mix of content here. One part was to promote the COVID appropriate behaviors among them so that they are safe. And the second part was to continue the business of nutrition primarily, because during the pandemic time, we all presumed that it was going to be hit very hard. Then, what did we do in terms of capacity building? It's very interesting because we were going to use and look at the user, because here we are talking about simple rural SHG women. We are not talking about a counselor having kind of public health or communication degree in hand. So. So we were very careful in terms of training. We And because it was a lockdown situation, so we were not able to gather them in one place. So it was a kind of training by mobile, or training in some cases online, like we are connecting today. So 400 WADAs were trained on the technical content and skills side. The counseling skills was a major part of this training. A lot of demo sessions were conducted. So through 6 training sessions, we trained all WADAs on the content and skills. What was the monitoring system for quality? So again, it was not a policing kind of system. So it was a mentoring system, so that we know about the shortcomings and we offer support, instant support to Didis, the SHGs. So we had block and district level management cadre. So they were given a simple checklist, and the parameters we will see in next few slides. There were 5 scales like excellent, very good, average, below average, poor, and then these scales were used to give immediate feedback and improve the performance of SHG Didis. The call was followed by a feedback session. So in some of the calls, the block and district people were joining the call so that they can understand the quality. And so after the call, they were connecting again to the WADA Sakhi and giving feedback on the quality. And we saw a lot of improvement happening gradually. So this is example of mentoring checklist, and the major focus was on the duration of the call. So we all understand that just a hello hi call cannot be a counseling call. So we had defined as to what would be duration of the call, and then parameters like rapport building, technical knowledge, active listening, situation handling. These were all parts of the observation and feedback to the counselor. Assessment of the intervention. In terms of the audience, the SHG family members or pregnant women, we wanted to know as to what are the new knowledge that they are gathering and how they are practicing these new knowledge and skills. So here we can see some graphs. For example, this was the number of calls made, and this is data from just April to June. So 2,20,000 and more calls were made during this time. And in terms of uh, some other statistics, like one typical WADA contacted about 10 SHG members every day. So that discipline was established in terms of numbers. Then, on an average, 430 SHGs per day were reached by WADA through phone calls. And then 3646 SHG members were counseled every day. The results show that average 275 out of 420 others provided counseling services on any given day. So this was a constant outreach, mobile outreach happening in the field. Some of the data that we gathered from mentoring part on the this is on the Likert scale, Likert scale. So a total of 1436 counseling observation sessions were made. There was a significant association between WADA performance on Likert scale and number of mentoring contact sessions by project staff. So here we can see on the right graph, we are seeing this performance scale is improving. Like it started at 2.2, it went to 3.7, meaning it was very close to very good. And this all happened because of constant support and mentoring to the telecallers, the WADA Sakhis. Then, as I shared, we gathered some data from the end user or end audience, which were SHG women. And here are some results that we got, and it showed a very um, positive result out of this initiative. So, in the first graph, we are looking at different COVID appropriate behaviors. And for example, washing, cleaning hands with soap and sanitizer, 87% of them were aware, and a significant proportion was aware about washing feet when you are coming from outside, taking bath, changing clothes. A very positive impression we got about mask uses. Here we can see 90% is a common response that we got for different critical occasions of wearing a mask. For example, while hosting a guest in your home, 90%, visiting a neighbor's home, 93%, going to grocery store, 97%. And this was result of this telecalling, Hello Didi, in 3 to 4 months. So in a very short time, it established a very high benchmark. In terms of other behaviors, for example, respiratory hygiene, etc., the outcome was good. For example, covering of mouth when you are sneezing, 73%. There were some areas of challenges also, and then using this data, we strengthen those areas. For example, using your elbow during cough and sneeze was not very great, and so we immediately put attention on that, and we improved that. So these are some of the immediate results out of the initiative. And then the other segment of pregnant women, because even today in the protocol of COVID vaccination, the pregnant women are not included in that because the research is still going on, and so the vaccination is not happening. So we, from very start, we knew that pregnant women are going to be very vulnerable because they need various health and nutrition services and interventions, and due to pandemic they were cut down. So, our assessment about pregnant women also gave a very positive indication. For example, for mask use, social distancing, covering mouth, etc. It's very very high. More than 90% we are aware about it. And in the film also, we saw the telecaller, the SHG WADA Sakhi, reaching out to women very frequently, and in particularly the pregnant women and other vulnerable segments in the society. So, the other thing that we assessed in the area of nutrition was the dietary intake of pregnant women in last 24 hours, and that also gave a very positive sign that I mean, as a protocol, we say that food groups should be rich in the plate, and here we can see the top five ones like grain pulses, roots and tubers, vegetables, fruits are very very high, even milk and milk products. And I mean, because we have similar data coming from other projects where SHGs are not working, and this kind of uptake of practices and services in those areas without SHG has been very very difficult. So again, I would say the combination of SHG and power of mobile phone resulted into this one. So, what are the key lessons? Because in next few slides, we will quickly see the key lessons and how we can apply in other development areas. So, this kind of project was initiated in a very particular context when the normal business was disrupted. Um, this demonstrated the process of scaling a phone-based behavior change intervention in an established network of women members. So, in every part of country or even outside India, the practice of SHGs is very common, and so perhaps we need to think more about the communication initiatives, and we should integrate with them. Switching to digital platforms during emergency and otherwise is quite possible. And we all know the natural calamities like flood, earthquake. This all hits community very hard. And so it's wise to identify, map out this kind of organized groups, SHGs, and to do communication leveraging for both situation, emergency as well as routine. Like I was saying, this also proved that SHG women have more access and utilization of digital gadget channels, and this factor should be used for positive gains. Then the important one, as we saw in this initiative, the mentoring system or on-job support for counseling services is very, very important, and we should build that when we are designing such programming. Then cost effectiveness. If you ask me what kind of cost was incurred in this, I would say close to nil. The reason is that the kind of situation the community was facing, and the Hello Didis were incentivized in this program. So for every meeting, they were paid certain incentive. So when we discussed with them about this initiative, they said they are going to contribute as caller and they will not charge anything extra. So this kind of message you get from these kind of dedicated groups in the community, and the incentives were paid as normal, even when the meetings were not being held, and they contributed as telecaller in this. So we need to revisit policies in terms of our digital strategy, and we should use this kind of low cost and effective strategies more and more. So, what are some of the generic digital-based learning for BCC programs? BCC means behavior change communication here. So, we all saw that contextualization is very, very important. We cannot design digital technology with digital intervention without very specific context. So, direct messaging, voice counseling, job ad application, these are very, very important. So, frequency of communication length and complexity of content delivered and potential for personalization, which affect the intensity of BCC delivery. Direct messaging, SMS, IVRS provides brief, standardized content distributed on a regular schedule. So, this PowerPoint will be circulated to the audience. Um, so, here in the context of MNCH, meaning the maternal and neonatal child health practices, we have evidence of effectiveness, and we need to do this kind of programming with that. Then we have huge network of health and nutrition functionaries who do immunization, ANC visits, and all. And we need to integrate this example with their work. Uh, then the important ones, the job aid apps, in which BCC messages are embedded within the apps, provide brief, standardized content similar to direct messaging. Whenever this kind of package is developed, it has to use the thumb rule of being simple and direct, because the capacity at the grassroots is a challenge. Coming quickly to uh, I will pick up some of the important ones. So formative research, the importance of formative research is very, very high. And here, because it was a pandemic situation, so there was very little time to do research and identify the communication barriers, etc. But in broader sense, the formative research should be used to make effective messages, etc. Then, while developing BCC messages, it's important to develop and test with local partners to make them relevant, understandable, and appealing. Uh, then one of the major learning is that technology that is already familiar to the target users have better chance to give quick results. And here in this case, we saw the mobile phone, and we designed in a way that any kind of mobile phone could be used. And that was actually key to success, because in many programs we see that only smartphones can support certain apps or certain initiatives, and then people face a lot of challenge. Then, lastly, the last point, behavior change doesn't happen overnight. It requires a lot of time. It's complex because there are many habitual behaviors are involved. Uh, but in this particular case, there was hardly any time available, and uh, uh, but still we could see, many uptakes in terms of knowledge and practice of behaviors. So this is the last slide, and let me just take out this. So I'll be very happy to respond to your clarifications or questions related to this program that I presented here. Over to you, Dr. Arina.
Dear participants, if you have any questions, you can write it in the chat box so that the answer could be given. Waiting for the questions. Okay, I think there is no questions from the side of participants. So just exceeding the session in this context, I would like or I would request Dr. Hafiz Muhammad Arif Nadwi, Head of the Department of Languages, Integral University, Lucknow, to say a few words about this program and to give vote of thanks to Mr. Bhai Shelly. Thank you, sir. I welcome, sir, please, the stage is all yours.
So a very, very good afternoon to all our faculty development program family. How should I appreciate, acknowledge your all presence with witty and wise comments we are getting as a token of love and affection. So, न जी भर के देखा न कुछ बात की. Sir, it is for you, sir. It is
जी
for you, sir. न जी भर के देखा न कुछ बात की, बड़ी आरज़ू थी मुलाकात की. Thank you, sir. Thank you all active participants. Feel immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks to all on behalf of the Department of Languages, the entire team who are making tireless efforts in order to make this session memorable, historical, and a very informative in all respects, sir. Sir, you rightly observed, made us observe that technology, as the title suggests, everyone gains when women get digital. Absolutely right, sir. Who will deny, who will overlook the significance of the title in the modern era? Who will deny, sir? We cannot deny, we cannot overlook this fact. So, technology must work for everyone and must represent the requirements of all. So, of course, we are observing in the society as we are progressing, technology is helping close the gender gap and empower women. Technology can be the key to providing equal opportunities for women around the globe, and especially women's leadership is more in line with the contemporary transformational leadership model, sir, which take advantage of women's good communication skills. Sir, good communication skills is the need of an hour. लहू न हो तो कलम तर्जुमा नहीं होता. लहू न हो, तर्जुमा means sir representative, interpreter. लहू न हो तो कलम तर्जुमा नहीं होता. हमारे दौर में आंसू ज़बा नहीं होता. So this is the need of INR to come forward with our mighty pen, communication skills. So our future certainly will be marked by scientific and technological progress, and bridging the gender gap in technology is vital to achieving the sustainable. So we call the society in which we are living a progressive society, but we need to make women realize in every aspect of life. We have words of complaint as well. तुमने तो थक के दस्त में खीमे लगा दिए. You tired. I'm addressing men, so-called men. तुमने तो थक के दस्त में, dust means sir forest, desert. तुमने तो थक के दस्त में खीमे लगा दिए, कैंप लगा दिए. तन्हा कटे किसी का सफर, तुमको उससे क्या. तन्हा कटे किसी का सफर, तुमको उससे क्या. Sir, we appreciate your valuable, knowledgeable session delivered by you. So thank you on behalf of the Department of Languages, our entire team, especially Dr. Arina Meherjahan Bushra, and the entire team who are making tireless efforts. Thank you very much for sparing your precious time for us. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Sir,
you
we
very
have,
much, Doctor.
sir, we have
Yes,
received one
Dr. Arina.
question. If you permit us, then we can show you. Yeah, it is just flashing on the screen. We have received only one question.
How digital communication helps in motivating others when there is no touch and feel factor. Yeah, this is very important. And during the pandemic, we all have realized, for example, this today's webinar, in routine situation, we should have been sitting face to face and doing it, looking into eyes and, encouraging each other to say more or to get more insights, etc. So yes, the touch and feel factor is not there. But I believe that's why capacity building or training is very, very important. And we realized in this Hello Didi program,
No?
we realized in Hello Didi program that our training mainly focused on touching emotions, creating rapport. As you looked at the uh, kind of stages of a counseling session, it always began with rapport building. As rapport building, meaning you have to understand what other person is doing. So the questions like greeting and the questions that counselor was asking, Didi, aap kya kar rahi hain? What you are doing? Where you are? So it was all to relate and connect with the woman, without getting into technical knowledge, technical messaging. So I think the challenge is there, but by applying certain tactics or the skills. In communication terms, we call it gather approach: create, ask, tell, help in decision making, return. So you have to apply these principles in digital technology, digital way of communication also to become more live, and to create emotions. Yeah. There is another question from Dr. Piyush Nandi. What are the basic factors which differentiate commercial communication and academic communication? It's very important, and that's what we discuss on daily basis. Like I will give you example. 2 days back, due to pandemic, many children have lost their parents. They have become orphan, and the government wanted to connect with community and get their support for collecting information about orphan children, etc., etc. And one design agency was working with UNICEF. So we always face this kind of dilemma that in academic communication or non-profit communication, I would prefer to say, we don't want to create an unrealistic aspiration or things like that. For example, if you look at one ad from Pepsi or Coke, one gentleman or one young person is shown riding a mountain with a bicycle after drinking Pepsi. So this is kind of liberty the commercial communication take. In non-profit communication, we cannot take that kind of liberty, and that makes our job very challenging also, because we are very careful what we are saying, what impact it will lead to. So in this particular case of communicating for orphan children, we face that kind of dilemma, because you have to restrict yourself to the social reality, etc. So yeah, I mean, the challenges are there, but in development communication of late, you will see many interesting things happening, and some of the CSR projects or some of the big companies also are using these kind of tactics where they are showing collective power of people. They're selling their product, but they are using the soft human aspects. In one of the ads, if you remember, there is a big tree fallen on the road, and there is a jam situation, and then one small child takes lead, and he started pushing the tree, and then the entire community which was around came and contributed in pushing the tree. And it was ad of a corporate, so they are also using these kind of tactics nowadays, which are very close to social reality. I hope I could answer.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. These are very perceptive and insightful information that you have provided us, and it will help us in future experience. Dear participants, Mr. Bhai Shelly has developed communication strategy for polio eradication program, and the outcome of this strategy is that India became polio-free country in 2013. Because of this, he is known as the Bhishma Pitama of communication. The points he has given through the gather approach and the calling Didi and all that concept that he has used through this presentation is really remarkable. Thank you thank you very much, sir, for sharing such a nice information. These are the precious things for us, and we will really mean a lot for it. Thank you, participants, for keep connecting with us in the journey of knowledge. Have a nice day. Have a wonderful day to you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Bye bye.